Have you heard? Have you heard that there is a Facebook settlement, a Meta Facebook settlement, $725 million in a privacy settlement? And I don't know about you, Jane, but I filled mine out last weekend.
I just filled mine out yesterday. I didn't know about it. My husband, who is a person who would never do, he's so leery about everything. He's, what's the catch? I'm not giving him my information. And he sent it to me. He goes, oh, you should do that. It was pretty easy.
It was pretty easy.
Yeah, but I want to know, I didn't even know about it. So sounds like everybody and anybody, and how much money are we going to get? We're not getting $700 million.
No, you're going to get a little bit of that because there's so many Facebook users. Oh, but we should
get
ask
$100.
We should ask Adam Zayed.
Okay.
He is the founder and managing trial attorney for Zayed Law Offices, and he joins us now on the Big 89. Adam, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for your time here.
So you heard the questions that we were having. We're kicking this thing around. We filled it out. Everybody else has a certain amount. First of all, tell us why this settlement occurred in the first place, and then we'll get into some of the particulars about what people need to do.
Sure. This arises out of this Cambridge Analytica issue that was very well publicized over the last 5 years or so. Cambridge Analytica was a British political consulting firm, and they were pitching themselves as a group that was a political strategy group, and they were highly involved in the Ted Cruz campaign and the Donald Trump campaigns from 2016 year type time span. And what happened is that they bought data from an app creator. The particular app that was at issue was called This Is Your Digital Life, created by a person named Alexander Kogan. And more or less what happened here is that this was a personality profiling app. Maybe some of us who use Facebook are familiar with this type of thing. Like maybe a grandma or an aunt downloads this app, kind of fills out this profile, and turns out what this app did was it pulled data not only for the people who were using the app, but it pulled data from all the friends on Facebook who were related to the individual who downloaded the app. Then this app creator sold it to Cambridge Analytica. So from the 200-some thousand people who downloaded the app, this mushroomed into basically everybody in the United States. And so now all of a sudden, this political consulting group, Cambridge Analytica, has data on everybody in the United States.
So the lawsuit, though, is open to anybody. It seems like a pretty broad audience. Anybody who's had a Facebook account, and even a Facebook account that has been deactivated from 2007 to last year. So it's like anybody.
Yeah, I mean, these are very wide parameters. The specific dates are May 24th, 2007 to December 22nd, 2022. And really the amount of time that an individual had their account during that period, it sort of goes into the algorithm of how much they're going to get in connection with the claim they submit.
But they don't look, are they looking up how long you've had your account? Because, and honestly, I filled it out yesterday, and they don't ask you how long you've had the account. So do they look it up once they have your name? And then secondarily, who's getting all my information?
Well, this is going to the claim administrator. So of all of the places where this information is going to be submitted, this is a far safer place than the folks who are submitting their information on that app that went directly to Cambridge Analytica. So this is going to the claim administrator. So the data should be safe. And yeah, there's definitely a component of like how can they specifically regress out how much every single person gets, because everyone in America is going to be entitled to this. But really, there's this whole statistic on how many people actually will end up submitting their claim here. And the odds are about 10% of people who are eligible are going to submit their claims. So that goes into the calculus as well.
So if 10% submit their claims and it's $725 million settlement, I know you're not a mathematician, Adam, but what can people expect to get? Is it going to be a couple $100? What's the word?
Well, so out of that 725 million, which actually is the biggest data breach award in the history of the United States, once fees and costs and administrative costs are taken out, there's going to be probably more like 500,000 that's available to be divvied up. And if 10% of the applicable candidates, and that's just a statistical thought on that.
Sure.
I think people are going to be looking at getting something like $20 to $30.
Oh, 20. Okay.
Is it even worth your time, really?
Right.
I mean, I guess $20 is $20, right?
That's the estimate. In fairness, there was Illinois was really on the map for some legislation they passed during Rod Blagojevich's time in office, and it was this facial recognition statute that Facebook had been pretty badly violating, and Illinois residents each got like $200, $300. There was that data breach situation. And Illinois was a unique outlier. Like only 2 or 3 states passed a similar type of statute. So this is just more broad, more far reaching, and everybody's involved. So is it worth it? It takes like 2 seconds to fill out this form.
So is this going to have it's 725 million. Zuckerberg is worth a lot more than that. Is this going to affect his bottom line at all? Does he even care? He's like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's a really good question. And there's like a couple responses to that. So first of all, this was the civil remedy. This is the remedy that us people who are in the populace of the United States get to enjoy. The FTC also brought a claim, and they were able, for the exact same issues, to get a $5 billion fine against Facebook. And that did hurt their bottom line. And the reason they were able to extract it, if you can imagine, is because they threatened to go after Mark Zuckerberg individually. And in order to spare Zuckerberg that additional turmoil, they paid the FTC $5 billion in fines. That's pretty legitimate.
Wow. $5 billion? Okay.
And don't these lawsuits set a precedent, though? I mean, like you said, the instance with Illinois, and I remember my wife getting a check for like $200 and something. It wasn't that long ago, even though it was under Blagojevich, but it took a while for things to move forward on that. Aren't companies paying attention and kind of, hey, this whole biometrics, we got to stay away from this? Or is it just that there's so many new apps and programs that come out year after year that they're not worried about self-regulating, I guess?
Well, that's a really good question. A couple of thoughts about that. So if you actually think about what happened here with Cambridge Analytica, it wasn't Facebook who sold the data.
Mm-hmm.
It was this app creator who violated Facebook rights and then gave it to third parties. They violated their agreement. So the thought is Facebook should have done more to protect their users' data from this type of conduct from happening, even though they didn't specifically do it. And that goes back to, what kind of protections did Facebook had? Is it possible that they were incentivizing developers and creators with lax APIs so that people could pull the data a little bit easier than maybe they should have? Yeah, that's a whole consideration. So things are cracking down a little bit more now. FTC required all sorts of changes as a result of this Cambridge Analytica breach. Facebook has to exercise greater oversight over these third-party apps in many ways, and they enforce these rules and they require these rules from the top down, from the director level down through the corporation. I'm sure Facebook is not interested in paying another $5 billion. And as a matter of fact, when this all broke out, they lost like $40 billion in market cap. They lost a lot of goodwill. They changed the name of their corporation.
It's a Meta.
Wow.
Adam, we appreciate the time. Obviously, a lot of people jumping on this, including some of us here in the studio. Adam Zayed with Zayed Law Offices talking about the Facebook settlement. And we appreciate you being on the Big 89 today.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.